What's up, everybody? Welcome to the OverChurched Podcast for people who love Christ but struggle with Christians. My name is Justin. I'm excited for today. It's a little bit different. Delicia is not in the studio today, but we have a special guest that will try to fill her shoes. Ooh. No pressure.
That's a big shoe.
But my man Canon is in the building. I'm excited, man.
Nah, thank you for having me, bro.
I'm excited. So for those of you who may not know who Canon is, I almost added a title because I know I almost added a label because I remember we were talking about the movie you were about to shoot. I was about to throw actor, producer. I was about to start throwing heck of things on the resume.
Yeah.
But phenomenal Christian, phenomenal artist, just music artist. And before I even met you, when I first got saved, or when I first got serious about my faith, I remember I would go on Pandora and I was like, I think I went to one of those, you know, those Christian youth conferences when they would be like, turn in your CDs, turn in all your little 500 degrees and Hot Boys CDs and all the Illuminati stuff that you listen to, and you like, they have trash bags full of, which I think is so dumb. What they should have done is took all those CDs from those youth groups and stuff and took them to like Tower Records and sold them, and then we could have like, you could have funded, you know how many camps they could have, like they could have been sponsoring heck of things. That would have been way smarter, but they had us just burning them and doing these cultish bonfires and anything. So we went to one of those events. I ended up, getting rid of all my Eminem CD, my Marshall Mathers CDs and everything.
Dang, you got rid of Eminem?
I think so. I
don't know if I could have. I don't know.
Bro, I was 50. I was young, and I was like, I gotta.
See, I was never that guy to throw away my CDs. Like I couldn't do it. Like my sister, she had like a whole like album case full of CDs. That's how I actually got into like listening to a lot of hip hop. Yeah. My sister had a whole bunch of CDs. And she'd be watching like BET, the box, just older channels. And I'm watching these. I'm like, yo, I'm consuming it. And I'm like, I love this culture. For me, I was like, I was infatuated by the design, the language, the way of life, the boldness, them just being themselves and using music to express who they are. So for me, I was like, why am I burning my art? Like, this is art to me. But I knew other people within the Christian space, they felt like it was demonic. Mm-hmm. I grew up in a church called The House in Chicago with Pastor Phil Jackson. And
Phil Jackson?
Yeah.
Shout out the Lakers legend.
Not that Phil Jackson, but it's funny because everybody asks that all the time. But
true story, Phil Jackson's dad was a pastor. Just
for real?
Yep.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Dang. Hey. Okay. Well, the crazy thing is, like, we loved hip hop in general, even in that church.
Oh, cool.
Like we weren't encouraged to throw away our CDs in that church. Like we would have Lauryn Hill quoted from the pulpit. But then there was other people that were against what we was doing too. Mm-hmm. We had a whole movement in Chicago. But it was folks that was just like, no, what they're doing is demonic. It's in the church, da da da. This is during the time the Ambassador came out with the song "My Clothes, My Hair," and because it was an issue where people thought like even Christian hip hop was demonic. Mm-hmm. So like hip hop was hated on across the board. So, but we was just like, no, we gonna use this, redeem it, and show how the world can still be used by God. Even the worst parts of the world can still be used by God. And so I was just never that guy to throw away my secular CDs, but I also understood like the sentiment in doing it where people were like, man, this is
a stumbling block for me, or
or it could be like a kind of like baptism where like this is a proclamation of my faith. Like this is me saying to the world, I am turning away from what I used to know and I'm done amening the things that are in the world. So this is for me, this is my 360. Yeah. I mean my 180, hopefully not 360.
I know everybody always says 360. I used to always think, that's just going right back to where you started.
No, 180, but but I don't. I don't look down on people who did though, you know, because if they did it for whatever reason, I'm pretty sure they felt convicted and enough to do so.
Yeah.
But I know some people were forced to do it though, and I'm just like, nah, I wasn't that kid.
Well, I'll say this. So I remember going through that stage as a teenager, and then you're a teenager, you kind of go ups and downs, and then I got back into it. But then as an adult, I was like, I really do want to change. I was like, I just wanted to hear more positive. Like I was like, I needed it. I really needed a purge in terms of what I was listening to. But my issue was when I was younger, all the Christian rap I was introduced to, which by like the local Christian artists, which were no knock on them, but it was just so unreal. Because you talking about dudes, I was like fresh out the pen. And then they're like, you know, like they got that same zeal of like, but now I'm a soldier for Christ, you know,
gospel gangsters,
you know, gospel gangsters, and what was the one?
You got like T-Bone.
No, what was the one you had? A dope dealer. I'm a hope dealer. dealer.
Petty D.
No, it wasn't Petty D. We had to do it. He was what was his name? It was Craig. Dang it.
I know.
It was a white dude. Anyway,
I'm drawing a blank too, but I know.
But like all those, and I was like, okay, that's cool. But I'm like, bro, I just want some good lyrics and good beats. Like I'm not out here, like I'm not even worried about what y'all worried about. So I got put on like Lecrae and 116, and I'm like, okay, this is more. I mean, I think I knew about Lecrae as a teenager, but like as I got older, I was like, let me just switch up Pandora and just listen to it. And so that's when I started hearing you a lot, and I was like, who's this Canon dude? I like. And so
shout out Pandora for that.
Shout out Pandora, man.
Y'all
Pandora,
be putting your boy on the map, man.
Pandora,
yeah,
come on, man. So I remember like being in my cubicle at work and like listening to you and Social Club and Andy and things like that. And so,
man,
I say all that because
that's a whole era.
I know, right?
Yeah, that's a whole era.
Yeah. So what was crazy is, you know, you fast forward. No, I don't know what year that was. Let's say 2012.
Mid 2000s.
Yeah, mid 2000s. There you go. And then we launched Legacy in 2023, and you pulled up, but I didn't know. I never knew the face. I knew the artist.
I get that all the time. Folks be like, wait, you who? Wait, what?
Yeah.
No, and I'm like, dang, I forget. People don't really know what I look like.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's funny.
But what I thought was really cool is you came in and we connected, and you just introduced yourself, just, you know, as Aaron, and just really smooth. And only thing I know is like, man, that dude be trippy. I just like the style.
That's like, funny. I was trying to be incognito.
Nah.
I was literally like, I'm like, man, I'm not finna say nothing about no music.
No, you didn't. You were. You were. But the swag, it spoke louder. I was like, oh, he dressed different. He's not from here.
Yeah, I get that all the time too.
And then
even in Chicago.
And what I commend you on, and we'll get into like the whole journey, but what I'm excited about is, as we got to know each other and just have talks and conversations outside of, you know, the church, just hearing your story and learning like your journey that you had been through and the journey you're still on and everything. And it was really cool for me to see someone who had been through all the different stages of, you know, your faith journey, growing in faith with God, really getting involved, allow God using your gift to reach, you know, thousands of people, getting really involved in church, seeing some things that kind of like, whoa, you know, but then kind of how God brought it full circle to like, now you're back, and just the humility that you serve with. It's just been amazing to see, man. Like most people at our church still don't know who you are in terms of that. You know what I mean? It's crazy. It's super funny, but I want to get the details of all that, because first of all, how'd you even come to faith? You mentioned, you know, Pastor Phil Jackson, all that, but how'd you even come to that?
I'll say, like, I was introduced into the faith throughout my whole life. Growing up, my grandfather was a pastor. So my family grew in the church. So I was very familiar with at least church culture, religious practices, being just a student of the church. it wasn't until I was 14 that I realized I wasn't saved.
Wow.
Because sometimes when you grow up in church, a lot of times you think
you know it,
you know the culture, you know what to say, you know who to say what's up to, whatever. And you, even just by association, you might think because your mother saved, you saved, and that's not the case. And then I became to realize that at 14, like, oh wait, so you being good with God don't mean I'm good with God. This ain't no inheritance. I'll like it's not passed down.
Trying to live off grandma's faith and grandma's prayers.
Right. You know what I'm saying?
Which I will say though, I do believe in generational favor, grace, and mercy. Like I absolutely do believe that you can skin by with some things that you do not. There's some things that don't happen because of the praying mother and grandma, but that doesn't mean you're reconciled. It just means you're spared.
God's people was doing that in the Bible. You know what I'm saying? You know, when that's why when Jesus was getting baptized and John the Baptist was looking at the Pharisees, it was like, who told y'all to get baptized? Oh, wait, because according to y'all don't need this. Like, y'all good with your forefathers and whatnot. Nah, like, who told you to be here? And so, like, people held on to like their forefathers' faith, their grandmother's faith. I believe in having a praying grandmother. You know, her blessings carry too, you know. So, you know, but I do believe like God will bless you generationally as well as he may curse you generationally too.
Yikes.
So, you know, there's two sides of that coin. But growing up in the church, you know, I knew there was something there. I just didn't connect with it. Yeah. And I realized a lot of times for me, it was the culture. I just never connected with church culture. I never, was never something for me. And it's not like that I thought people were whack. It's just that when you grew up in the church for so long, you see more things than what most people may see. And as I got older, I got exposed to more and more behind the scenes. And so like for me, it wasn't that a relationship with God didn't feel real. It felt like the culture I was in didn't feel real. It felt like a game, you know. And I think I learned how to play a game with church, where it was like, all right, I say the right thing. I position myself around the right people. Learn a couple like memory verses. Let me find a favorite Bible verse to kick off when they ask me that question. I just felt like I knew how to play the game. And God was like, I'm not here playing games. There was a time I almost died in my life. Most people may have known about it if they know about my story, but there's a time before then that I almost lost my life. And it was also a car accident, and the car flipped over several times.
That you were in?
Yeah. I was younger at this time.
You need to stay out of cars.
Hey, look, me and my brother and my cousin was a little reckless. We was headed to the mall because we wanted to go talk to some girls in high school. And my mom and my pops and my auntie, they went out on a cruise, and it was like, all right, you can borrow the car. Just be, just be chill. Don't be doing nothing crazy. And me and my brother, I ain't gonna lie, we was racing on the highway and stuff. Like we see something on TV, we gonna play around with it too. So
Fast and Furious too little.
Yeah, too much. Yeah, you know. So I'm in my mom's Ford Escort. I think it was an Escort.
Are you sure you don't have to give all these details? I don't know if the statute of limitations is passed yet, bro.
Hey man, it is what it is at this point. But I mean, like me and my brother, we would just drive around and. The first time God really got my attention was when we drifted off into a ditch and flipped over several times, and there was like this propane tank in front of us, and there was this tree that we hit before we hit the propane tank. So we was just kind of like, we felt like Shadrach, Meshach, and a bad Negro. Like we had came out. Like no scratches, no bruises, no nothing, like nothing broken. I ain't had no seatbelt on or nothing like that. Nobody got ejected out of their seat, and the windows was down. Like we was just, I'm shook. Like like everybody all right.
How old were you around?
I think I was like 13 around that time. I was around 12 or 13 around that time. And
but you, even being that young, you realize like I should not be alive.
I realized it wasn't a game.
Now. Yeah,
it wasn't a game no more, because it was like I had no control.
Yeah,
I'm like, usually in a video game you got some kind of control. Like this ain't no game. Yeah, and so I realized, my life ain't mine, and God can do whatever He want with it. And it felt like he was trying to get my attention. Yeah. Because even the next day we go to church, because that's happened on Saturday night. We was still in church Sunday morning. That's when you raise up in church, you still gonna make it to church. So
bro, when you almost die on Sunday night, you're like, hey, we're going to church tomorrow for sure.
Still, you know, my uncle he wasn't pastoring, but he was preaching that day. Okay. And he was like, man, we should have had 3 caskets today. Wow. But God spared him. Wow. And when he said that, I was like, man, he's saying something right there. Yeah. He's saying something. So that's when I realized, like, all right, it's not a game. Yeah. I think he's trying to get my attention. Yeah. Before then, like, I remember even when I got baptized, I was like, 7, I think. And I went up because I felt like a tug on me, but I really wanted to drink the juice and the crackers. Like, I saw everybody getting the communion wafers and the juice, and I'm like, man, I want to know what that tastes like. Yeah. I can't drink it though because I ain't a Christian. Oh. So I know the game. I'm gonna go up there, give my life to the Lord, so I can have some juice and crackers. Oh my God! And
they didn't give the goldfish in the children's church.
Look, nah, man, I with no pass. This was an old school Baptist church. Oh man! So I'm like, all right, well, shoot, I gotta do what I gotta do. I'm gonna go up there and I'm gonna give my life to the Lord for these juice and crackers.
You know what though? This is my theology. I don't think that's wrong.
I did get baptized again though. Once I realized, like, okay, that wasn't it. Like, I did go back, you know.
But I don't think. I honestly believe, like, let's say you weren't even you were 7. Let's say you were 17 and you did that same thing. Mm-hmm. I would argue that is still a valid. Like, I don't think motive is, like, I think God will use any motive to get you to a certain point. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I accepted Jesus because I didn't want to go to hell. Like, it was not like I love him and I need him. It was like, that other option don't sound too good.
Yeah. And I think sometimes we don't fully understand what's happening mentally, emotionally, spiritually when God is pulling you. Yeah. We just know something is happening. And God doesn't always come out and say vocally, like, hey, I'm pulling you to myself to save you. Yeah. We just know something is happening.
I need some crackers and juice.
Right.
Like, whatever that cracker and juice is, it's like, I want that.
Yeah.
So what led to, so you get saved. I mean, you have multiple near death. Well, we will get to the next one later, but you grow up, you finally hit a point where, like, I want this to be authentic. How did then the rapping and the integrate with your faith? Like, tell us about that process.
I ended up going to, like I said, a hip hop church. Okay. And they was rapping on stage and all type of stuff. Sorry, I got to burp it. It will not come out. But anyway.
You just made some Pepto.
Shout out to the OverChurched Podcast for the cups though.
Oh.
It is what it is.
Your cup runneth over.
I know, right? But I saw him rapping on stage, and I was like, man, I could rap.
I was gonna say, when you start rapping?
So this was like 14 at this point. Okay. I'm like, I could rap.
Now, what type of rapper were you growing? Were you like the freestyle? Were you like the battle rapper? Were you like singing, making roasting on cat rapper?
It was all of the above. Really? And I had a whole different name back then because of it too. And I can't tell you what it is.
Come on, you can. I mean, you already told us you was a part of Grand Theft Autos at 13. You already indicted, bro.
Hey. Oh man. So I was in high school. Uh-huh. And so all right, so we would have these sessions in the cafeteria, these rap sessions.
Did y'all do where's the grinding beat?
Yep.
With the pencil?
And I could never do the joint with the pencils. Homie who did it though, he was always crazy with the pencils. So we had these rap sessions, and I'll be the one that go like I go like maybe 3rd or 4th because I want to see what everybody else gonna do, and then I go like 3rd or 4th. By the time I was done rapping, ain't nobody want to rap no more.
Oh, okay.
So they called me Spook back then because I scared everybody away.
Oh, okay.
But
is Spook on YouTube? Can we find it on YouTube or LimeWire?
Actually, it is
on LimeWire. Hey,
actually, it is. I can't tell you what to look for, but it is. So
please pull up the link. Add the link to the description of this. So we can add the link with Spook, and then we'll add Canon just so people can see the journey, the process.
Literally, it has. Look, you'll see it from day one. Yeah, it was a journey. But
that's crazy. Spook.
But I didn't know that word was a derogatory term towards Black people during that time. I didn't know that.
I didn't think about that either.
I didn't know, like, it wasn't brought to my attention till I got to college and I moved to Memphis. Okay. And folks was like, they call you what? I was like, yeah, they call me Spook. They was like, nah, our ancestors didn't come this far for folks to be calling you Spook. Like, nah, you got to change your name. And person who encouraged me to change my name was Lecrae. Like, okay. He ended up telling me, he's like, nah, we gotta switch that up.
So let's talk about that. How did you and Lecrae get connected?
So that's weird. That's funny. So at the house where I was rapping at the church in Chicago, and we was like the first hip hop church on the west side of Chicago that did any hip hop. Okay. And so like we were like a different breed of stuff, but Craig came to perform at our church one time. And I had been performing we did our services on Saturday nights. Okay. And I performed like every first Saturday, every Saturday, but I was performing every week, every other weekend. Uh-huh. So being young, 14, like I'm in Chicago rapping, and I'm like, man, I got a little fan base at 14. Yeah. Craig come around, but everybody know who Craig is. I don't know. I ain't even met him before. I'm like, I don't know who this dude is. I just know he tall. He taking my shine real quick. I don't know who he is, but everybody know him. I ain't never met him before, so I ain't impressed. Right. But he come around and he looked at me. He's like, "What up, little dude?" I was like, "Little dude, what you?" Hey man, And so it was like, oh, he's made mention of something about my outfit or whatever. He was like, "Yo, I caught your performance. That joint was fire." I was like, "Oh yeah, that's what's up. Yeah, your joint was cool too." You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to be cool with him. Yeah. Because the thing is, when he came out, I ain't never seen this done before. But when he came out, they brought like the news reporters. They brought like interviewers, all type of stuff, and I was like,
so that's a different level.
I'm like, he must be famous. Yeah, he must be famous, but he don't know who I am, not yet. And so that was the first time me and him met. And then after that, I ended up going to camp called Kids Across America in Missouri, Branson, Missouri.
Oh, I've heard of that one.
And it's a great camp. Yeah. I went there for like 9 years, and again, playing the game. It's a Christian camp. If you know just what the camp is about, like you kind of fall in suit with the camp. It's a very high energy sports camp kind of thing. Well, if at the end of the week you get these awards, you get like an I'm third award, and that's when it's like God first, other second, and I'm third. They give all these different types of awards. I ended up getting like 2 or 3 I am third awards. The first time I was like, I didn't even know this existed. The second and third time I was like, I think I know how to get this award now. I just got to act godly for a week. I know the game. Yeah. So I saw Cray at one of the they had this thing where it was like, I forgot what it was called, but it's when they found leaders in the cabin. Okay. And each year they like pick or choose who they felt like was the leader of the cabin, one of the campers. Yeah. And every year I got chosen. So they put me in something called Higher Ground, which is another camp. And it was like, these are possibly like our next leaders, our next, like they might be campers. They're campers now, but they may be counselors down the road. Yeah. We can train them, and we just see a lot of potential in them. Yeah. They pick me for that every year. And I was like, I don't want to do this because they made me do like work. I'm like, in the summertime, I'm not trying to do no work. But Cray was there that week, and he was like, I know you. I was like, what you doing here? He was like, man, I'm here helping with the camp. I was like, oh, you work at the camp? He was like, nah, we on tour, but I'm here with the camp for the week. I was like, oh, okay. Keep in touch. Kept in touch. Kept my number. I kept his number. I ended up graduating, going to college in Memphis now. I'm at school, and I get a call. And as I'm at the school, somebody was like, hey, come outside real quick. I'm like, who outside? It's this big black Tahoe outside, or Suburban outside. I'm like, who outside? I look, tinted windows, raised the window down. It was Cray. Cray was like, hey, I heard you was living in Memphis now. I was like, yeah, but what you doing here? I live here. And I was like, oh, okay. Like, so Phil Jackson, my youth pastor, told me that he might try to keep us in touch because he know that I'm out there. So from there, he started pouring into me. And that's when our discipleship kind of started. And that's kind of why I started traveling with him. Okay.
So now you went from 14-year-old who thought he was, Cray don't know who I am.
Yeah.
To now, like, he knows who you are, and he's actually discipling you, and now you're going on tour with him as a young man.
Yeah. And, but it wasn't that quick first. Like, it was more so like kind of like a Paul situation, where it's just like before Paul could be trusted, I wanted to see if, like, man, does he know the law? Does he know his word, kind of thing? Because Cray was smart, like, and he still is. He's smart. He didn't want to bring somebody on the road that just wanted to be famous. He wanted to bring somebody on the road that wanted to be godly. Wow. And so he was like, I'm not training you to be like famous. I'm training you to be godly. Wow. You know, he said that from the jump. So I already knew what time it was. And so he was like, but I want you to see what it could look like if you did want to go this route. And I was like, all right, bet. So at first it wasn't like getting on the road. At first it was getting up with BJ, which is like another like mentor of mine. They was like homies, brothers. I get up with BJ and we go through like biblical manhood, discipleship programs, just throughout the week. And we would, talk community. We would talk through like how to write a sermon. We would go back and forth on scriptures and had these debates.
Literally like, being discipled. Like it wasn't.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Like we chewed the Bible up. Yeah. Like, like that's we would get up 5 o'clock in the morning type stuff. And if you was late, the door was locked, Yeah. We was in the hood thugging it, but we was like, we trying to be these little, like when you listen to Lecrae's, riding with my top down, listening to Jesus music, and he's talking about making disciples and stuff like that. We the ones he was talking about. Wow. So like, cause I'm like, he don't run nobody else but us, you know? And nobody else was on the road with him but me. Wow. So I'm like, I guess we the ones he talking about.
Wow.
So
that's amazing.
So then it got to a point where we started getting on the road, and then he started showing me like what it looked like to be an artist, because he knew like I was rapping in Chicago already, but he also knew like when I was young there was like an arrogance there. He was like, hey, he's a little prideful, but
you were 14.
Yeah, like I mean, I was at a stage where I was still trying to prove myself. Like I could hold my own, but at the same time, it was because I felt like I had to. I was on stage since I was 14. Yeah, put amongst other like youth leaders and whatnot at a young age.
Let me ask you this: when did it shift for you, I should say, from when it was just like I know what to say, I know how to say it, to like I actually
it's
want
real.
to. Yeah.
I think it got to that point. I remember I listened to like a Paul Washer sermon. Okay. Because I had already been infatuated with like knowing about God. Yeah. Like, and I felt like the tug on my heart was gradual, like a real relationship. Yeah. Like I didn't have a burning bush moment where it was like, bam, you Christian. Like now I believe there is a moment that does happen. But as far as us realizing when that moment was, I don't know. Yeah. Like I honestly don't.
It's just a journey.
But it was literally like a gradual journey, like of me like longing to see more of him. Yeah. I would say from the point of 18 and on, where it was like I really want to know about God. That's why I went to college for biblical studies and theology, because I wanted to know about God more. Yeah. But I didn't realize I didn't have to go to college for it. Yeah. Like I realized I should just read my Bible. Yeah. So I spent a lot of money for that. But anyway, can't get that money back.
It's okay. But the treasures in heaven.
Yep. Hopefully I get that money back. No, but I remember listening to a Paul Washer sermon, and Paul Washer was like heavy on like judgment, the wrath of God. He had the sermon called like the wrath of God. And I remember hearing it. It's the first time I ever heard a sermon where I started shaking for real, physically. And I remember being scared to move. I'm like, man, if I'm who he's talking about in this sermon, my soul is damned. Wow. Like my soul is all like it's gone. Yeah. Because he was looking at the congregation, speaking to the congregation, like, we talking about the worst people in society, and then he's like, but that's you. That's you in your heart. That's you. You just covered up good. Wow. You just make it look good.
Play the game.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And that was me. I was like, dang.
Yikes.
I know how to play the game. I've been playing the game.
Shout out Paul Washer.
Right.
Unapologetic.
Like it shook me. Because I had never heard somebody preach like that before. And so after that, I remember me and my guy Lawrence, we prayed. We was praying. I was just like, God, like if I ain't saved, save me now.
Yeah.
Like if I ain't with you, like make me with you now.
Yeah.
Like, you know, whatever I got to do it now.
Yeah.
You know, and I took it serious on top of just having discipleship on top of that. So being in college, you know, I didn't even hang with a whole lot of the college students like that because BJ was too busy scooping me up. Like, I'm gonna get you before the college gets you.
Yeah.
Like, I'm gonna get you before the frat boys get you. Yeah. Cause they like, I was getting poached on by like different fraternities on the campuses and whatnot. And you know, he knew that I had a mind to be like, man, maybe I might join that one day or something like that.
Impressionable. You're in that impressionable stage.
Yeah. And so he was just like, I'm gonna scoop you up before they get you. Cause once they get you, they might have got you already. Yeah. So
I think what you experienced that's so amazing. And we'll get into like, you know, the rest of the journey. Cause again, hearing to this point, it looks like your trajectory is like this, right? Like, yeah, you were 14 but like it's going up but we know life does bring things, but those seeds are never sown in vain.
Right.
And I think that the sad thing about Christianity or about the church today is like that intentional discipleship, specifically for men, happens so much rarer. It's so few and far between. And excuse me, now you got me burping.
See, it's addictive.
But I think what's crazy is Jesus says, go make disciples of all nations. Like that is literally the last thing he tells us, which is makes it seem like that's probably one of the most important things we can do. But a lot of us, we avoid that. Like, cause it is uncomfortable. It does require, it's a standard, you know, it's so relational. Like you said, it's like, and it's not a script to it. Right. There's no script to discipleship. Right. It's literally having imagine a man who's not related to you saying, I see too much in this young man to just hope that he for just me to just pray for him or just, you know what I mean? But like, I will go out of my way. Hey, come, you roll with me today. You know what I mean? Like that intentionality saved your life spiritually.
At this point in life, like, you know, I look back and I'm like, dang, they really did that, you know? Cause I mean, being 35 now, I'm like, man, my time is tight. Like I don't have a whole lot of time for real. So to see somebody like be like, hey, I got a little extra time, I'm gonna scoop you up and like split my time with you. Yeah. I'm like, that's not an everyday thing. People don't normally do that. No. You know, so back then.
But it should be.
Yeah, it
according
should be.
To Jesus.
Yeah, it should be, but it's not.
But we don't make it a priority.
Yeah, I had never seen that until that point. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Somebody just be like, I'm gonna scoop y'all up. I mean, like my uncle, he would take me and my cousins. Yeah. And you know, when we was way younger, he'd take me and my cousins on the corner and we'd pass out tracks and stuff like that. Like he'll do stuff like that with us. But outside of that, I had never seen that. Yeah. You know, awesome. And so especially with somebody that loved hip hop, who didn't think that hip hop was demonic. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, oh, okay, you gonna scoop me up? Yeah. All right, let's get it. And BJ was cool too, because it was like, BJ wasn't in college. Yeah. BJ had a whip, family, and all that. Yeah. So like BJ would pull up with these tinted windows, loud rap music or whatever, and he'll pull up, be like, hey, come on, let's go. I'm like, hey, all right, I'm about to dip there. You know what I'm saying? They'd be like, hey, who was that? He was like, man, that's BJ. Yeah. BJ had a name on the campus. Like people knew about BJ just because he was always working with students all the time. That's awesome. He used to work in a juvenile detention center with Cray, and they used to like do small shows, gospel shows, Christian rap shows. And until they testimonies and stuff like that. So even on the college campuses, they kind of knew about them already. And Cray was making a name for himself out
just in the rap.
Yeah, in Memphis. That's awesome. So people knew about him. So when they saw him, they was like, oh, that's Cray. Or when they saw BJ, it was like, yo, that's BJ. Yeah. So when BJ pulled up and was like, hey, let's go. And I was like, all right, y'all, I'm out. Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
That's awesome. So talk me through then. Okay, so now you're touring with Lecrae, and then you're doing music. You're on Pandora.
Yeah.
Which I started in the beginning, but I wanted to say, and I know I'm fast forwarding a little bit in your life, but your music really did help me. Like it helped. Wow. It was awesome it wasn't corny. It wasn't super like, oh, he's fresh out of jail. It was like a young man who very talented. I'm a lyricist. I like lyrics. And so it was just really cool to see.
That's why I'm like, Dad, you throw away Eminem CDs? I'm like, man, that would have hurt me.
I did that at 15. I downloaded it back once.
I was like, did you go back and pick up them ashes?
Come on, man. Come on, man.
Yeah.
So, but no, I think it was, I mean, you're not going to know till you get to heaven though, the impact of like how many people, I don't want to, be gender specific, but just how many people needed that. We needed an exchange of, there was this things in my life where I was like, Eminem was not helping me become a husband or a father or process my faith, And so having like a you, a Lecrae, Andy, a KB, a Tripley, like hearing guys, so I'm like, wow, this is what I'm actually going through mentally and spiritually. I'm trying to wrestle with what I believe versus how I feel, or my flesh versus my faith, or what I'm hearing in church on Sunday compared to my coworkers or my family or my friends on a Monday or Friday. And so it was so awesome to have that outlet. And also, I mean, if we're honest, it's awesome to be able to, because when you got your boys in the car, once you put on music in the car, you get judged. I don't know if there's anything more
aux cable.
Once the aux cord, because if you put in the aux and they like, hey man, who put that in? Like, so that's a lot of pressure. So it was dope to be able to put the aux cord in and be like, hey, let me use my phone and put on just Pandora or I wasn't using iTunes back then, but what was the other one? It was Pandora.
Oh yeah, what's it called? Well, you had Spotify, Pandora. You did have iTunes at a certain point.
But you had to buy it back then. You had to buy the songs, and I wasn't doing that. So I like Pandora.
I mainly had
maybe it was Pandora. I thought it was another one though.
I mainly use, or you could have had what's it called? Amazon or something like that. Amazon Prime or Google Play or something.
Google
like that.
Play, maybe it was Google Play.
Okay.
Because I didn't have an iPhone till anyway. But it was dope to just be able to put that in, and they'd be like, "Who is this?" I'm like, "Oh, y'all don't know about that?"
Wow.
So you're on that journey. You're touring. How does that shape? So now you're in the trenches of, okay, this is my passion. This is my art. This is my faith. Tell me the best side and the dark side of being a Christian artist.
The best side was being able to have opportunities to be a rap artist as a platform in different spaces where it didn't necessarily look like just a small situation. Like a lot of times I grew up seeing like youth groups try to put on shows for the youth group.
It's 10 kids.
And it looks so bad. Yeah. Like, and they doing their best they can.
Yes.
But the kids is just like, man, I see y'all what y'all trying to do, but this ain't dope. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And, it was dope being able to be a part of another generation where some churches kind of have figured that out now. Yeah. They kind of figured out how to entertain the kids and how to keep the kids engaged. Yeah. And it was huge because
honestly, that was the other problem. As a teenager, depending on the church you went to, it was hard to invite friends. Everybody's like, bring your friends. We're like,
nah, they ain't coming.
My homies is not coming here.
They ain't coming.
And if they do come here, they roasted me on Monday. Like if I bring them to y'all church on Sunday, it's going to be bad for me at school on Monday.
Boy.
Yeah.
All that, bro. Like, I get it.
So I understand that.
It was good being able to be in different churches to see that, there are different ways where they display Christian hip hop in a more professional or business type way. And that's when you start getting into the festivals and bigger church conferences and stuff like that, and the tour markets. But like the best thing though was to know that you were making an impact though. Yeah. Like to know like somebody come back and be like, man, you changed my life. Your music helped. Yeah. Like you're like, I didn't know my music could do that. Yeah. I didn't know. Y'all really listening for real? Like I didn't think y'all was listening. Yeah. Cause you don't know who's listening. Yes. And so I just know I be in the studio with me and my little pen and pad or whatever, just, writing my little heart away. And somebody's like, yo, that changed me. That helped me. I was like, okay. All right, cool. But I think also too,
bro, your motivation song with you in Social Club, that's a banger.
That's funny.
That's a banger, dog.
That's so funny, man.
I play it right now. My kids like I can play that right now. When did you make that song?
Man, I made that song, I want to say, 2014, 15 or something.
So like at least 10 years ago.
Yeah. Around 10. Yeah. And still to this day, that's like, I think that's my biggest song, one of my biggest songs. Yeah. Like,
I didn't know that.
And that's because when that came out, they had started streaming. Oh. They had really just started streaming. Okay. So streaming was like everybody was getting in on the streaming side, and so that song finally came out, and so that's when it was like, oh shoot, this streaming stuff is actually working. This song is launching off. Still to this day, we don't know how that song blew up. Really? Still to this day, for real. Because during that time, I never toured the song. Oh, I didn't get a chance to really perform the song for real. Really? Not while it was out. I remember I was on tour with Andy Mineo and Social Club while I was still like previewing the song in the shows. And while I'm doing the song, people are like, yo, is that out yet? I'm like, nah, not yet. The song comes out. And then by the time the song come out, I had just got into an accident and almost died.
Okay, talk us through that.
So I had just got married. Okay. And then
shout out Rich, we love you.
Yes, that's the best thing that ever happened to me. Like, for real. Like, she's the best thing that ever happened to me. I got married, and then when I got married, I went back to doing shows. Okay. As I go back to doing shows, I end up finishing out one show in Nashville. Mind you, we wasn't living in Atlanta by this time. But I did a show in Nashville, and I was just gonna drive back home. Okay. You know, but after the show, you get some food and you kick it for a little bit, then you head back. We were headed to the restaurant, and my DJ is with me behind me, and my road manager is in front of me driving. Okay. Road manager slows down. He see something happen on the highway. It was this truck flipped over. Oh wow. And then he slowed down, so I slowed down. He get out, I get out. He look, I look. So we saw this truck flipped over, and it's pitch black outside. Nobody's out here but us. Okay. So the first thing I did was I'm like, all right, I'm gonna go and see if they still alive. Wow. Like my adrenaline is just out the roof. Yeah. Because I'm like, we got to be quick. We got to hurry up. It's dark out here. We can get hit by another car. They might not see us standing out on the highway. So we told everybody like to put their blinkers on so people can see that we stopped. We run over to the truck. Guys is like hanging upside down because they had their seatbelts on at least. But they was out of it. They was faded. So I didn't know how to get them through the front window. So I kicked the back window open. And then I'm like, let me see if I can grab one of them or unplug or unhook the seatbelt. But while the driver was still like hanging, I guess he was just out of it. He tried to turn the car on, and folks was like, they saw sparks and there was gas on the side of the car. So people got scared. So as I'm still like in the truck, like trying to reach for him, somebody's like, yo, run, it's gonna explode. I was like, oh shoot, like it's really finna happen. So I'm like, and it's pitch black outside on the highway, so I can't see nothing around me for real. So everybody dip. Everybody gets scared, they dip. Some folks run one way and I ran the other way. First thing that went through my mind was this might explode like a movie, take cover. Yeah. Something could explode, or it could be a burst or whatever, but it could be bad. So I'm like, all right, I'm gonna take cover. I'm like, I'm gonna jump on the other side of this median and take cover real quick and just make sure everything cool. I went on the other side of the median. Somebody was like, hey, where Canon go? And this lady was like, he's on the other side. And then I looked over, it was like, ain't no other side. It was a 35-foot drop. So they was like, I don't see him. And I was out. I was knocked out. I couldn't say nothing. But the
time out. You went thinking you could go to the other side and you fell 35 feet?
Yeah, I didn't know it was no other side. It was just pitch black. Like that's all we saw. God. The only thing I remembered though was like when I jumped, you know when you hop a fence? Yeah. Like when you hop a fence, you land like maybe 2 feet from the fence. Yeah. You're not jumping away from the fence. You just hop in the fence. Yeah. Right. That's what I did. Like I didn't do nothing no different. But when I jumped, like I landed maybe like 15 feet away, 20 feet from where I jumped. Oh man. When I jumped, I felt like this huge gush of wind, like just push. And then I hit the ground. When I hit the ground, I think I was just out. Wow. But when I landed in this like patch of grass. Okay. And below me was a whole bunch of tree stumps erected out of the ground, boulders. It was a construction site. Oh man. So when I landed in this grass, I don't know how I got over there. Obviously God. But like literally, logically, I don't know how I got in that place. It was literally the only place that I could live and make it. And it was literally the size of my body. So I woke up and my man Tone, one of the artists that's on our label, Tone was like, "Nah, get the F off me, nigga." Like, nah, he was talking to the cops. Tone, the ex-Crip, so he don't like cops. But like Tone was around me. The first time I had woke up, all I saw was some little flashes of lights. People were looking for me. Then I woke up and I see Tone fighting the cops. And Tone was just like, "Get the F off me. That's my little brother, nigga. Get it off me, nigga." Like, and I'm like, I wake up, I'm like, "Tone, it's cool." And I go back to sleep. I wake back up and then I feel him like picking me up out of this ravine. And I remember like telling them, like, "Hey man, be careful. Like, don't drop me." Like, I feel like I'm cracking jokes. They must have gave me something. They must have gave me a shot or something like that. Cause I was cracking jokes the whole way. And, but I was still in pain. So they got me to the ambulance and then they airlifted me out. They flew me to Vanderbilt Hospital. When they put me into the helicopter, I was just like, "Yo, just don't drop me." Cause I was going like swaying back and forth. And then they started cutting my pants. And I was like, "Nah, these are my favorite pants. Don't do it. No, these are my favorite pants." And then I looked at my shoes and I had blood all over my shoes. They cut my shoes off because they had to get to my ankle. My ankle like busted out of my leg. And my jaw was shattered. So
boy hit the Kanye through the wire.
It was literally that situation. So I was in the hospital for a while. I woke up again. And I just see like the hospital room had like 50, 60, 70 people in there like waiting because it was right after the show. And then they called my wife like,
I was
"Hey,"
just about to ask, They
called my wife like, "Hey, your husband hurt. He fell off the highway." She hung up. She was like, "Why y'all playing with me? Stop playing with me." And then my manager called again. He's like, "No, he's hurt for real. Like, come see him. Like he fell off. He's hurt." So she had to hurry up, pack her stuff, and drive from Atlanta to Nashville that night. And she saw me, and I was just like,
what was the, not diagnosis, but what were the results of you falling to your body?
Yeah, so I shattered
damage.
Yeah, so I shattered my tibia, fibia, or something like that. Shattered my ankle. So now I got a rod about that long in my leg.
Can never go through security.
Man, the first time it went off. The first time, they was like, "You got any medals on you or anything like that?" I was like, "Oh, I got metal in me. I'm that dude now." Dang. So
metal rodding your ankle.
So metal rod, metal plate, because my jaw was wired shut.
Oh
my jaw got shattered. My teeth was shattered. And then I guess something happened with my throat because I had a tracheotomy. With a trach tube down my throat. So
you should not be alive.
Nah, for the second time. I should not be alive. Actually, for the third time. I ain't gonna talk about the other time. but it showed me again, like, these ain't no games, man. Yeah. God is in control. Yeah. And you not, man. Yeah. If he want to take you out, he can, but obviously he kept you here for a reason. Yeah. And so I remember that the song that came to my mind was Tripping, because I had just came out with an album, but I could never tour. Even with the song Motivation, I couldn't tour the song because I got injured. And I was thinking about Tripping. I was like, dang, what was the last song I put out? Tripping. What did I talk about? I had a line in the song where I'm like, "I'm sitting on your couch here. I'm on some eat some fried. Oh, I'm sitting in your house here. I'm on some eat some fried chicken on your couch here." Like, and then I'm like, that was the last thing I said. Nah, man. I know I'm known to like want to be the party dude and have fun all the time, but if that was gonna be my last words before I died, I feel like I'm wasting my time. Wow. So I was just like, nah, I gotta get serious, even just about like, what does God want me to talk about? Who does God want me to talk to? Yeah. And at that point, like, I had wrestled through so many insecurities. I was always the youngest guy in my camp. When you got guys like Derek Minor, Lecrae, BJ, like I was always like 5 or 10 years younger than everybody in my camp. Even growing up in Chicago, the reason I was skilled as a rapper was because I was rapping with folks that was like 10, 15 years older than me. And I was just the youngest one around rapping. They all trained me to rap. So, so for me, I dealt with a lot of insecurities as far as it's like who I am. Yeah, do I belong here? Yeah. Yeah, or who maybe I need to rap like Cray. Yeah. Maybe I need to rap like Trip. Maybe I need to rap like Derek and say what they talking about in their lyrics. but I knew I weren't them. And I knew, you know, their bases weren't necessarily bases that I wanted to pursue.
Yeah.
And so I to a point now, I'm just like, I need to figure out who I am.
Yeah.
And I need to figure out who I'm supposed to be talking to. I need to figure out like what I'm about as an artist, as a person.
I want to hone in on that, because one time we talked and you talked about how, you know, being a Christian rapper, you've done all the youth group conferences, all the youth camps, and there's nothing wrong with that, but you felt like, and tell me if I'm misquoting you, but I remember you were telling me like, you feel like almost like how you started it, like this culture, it doesn't fit who I am. And like, it's not fitting who I want to reach. Like I'm not able to reach the people that I really want to, the next Canon, the next Aaron, you know? What was that transition like in terms of finding out who you are, your voice, who you were passionate about reaching? Yeah. How did that kind of like, first two questions, what pushed you out of staying comfortable in like the church? I don't want to mislabel anything, but you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, I'll answer the first one. Like, I had to go back to my roots to see like, who was I before anything Christian hip hop?
Okay.
Like, who was Aaron?
Yeah.
Outside of Canon, who was Aaron? Like, who was he?
Yeah. And
I had to think about like what has made Canon versus who Aaron was.
Wow.
Canon was somebody who just, he loves the Lord. He raps, tours the world, albums, singles, you name it, you know. But Aaron was somebody who loved people. Wow. Aaron was somebody who loved to serve people. Aaron was somebody who like loves to have fun, loves to enjoy the time, loves to listen to people. He's a person who loves to just be there for people.
Yeah.
But there were other things too. I love hip hop.
Yeah.
And I love like being that bridge between the church and hip hop in a real way, where I'm like, no, I'm not finna be in a choir stand preaching this. I'm gonna be outside.
Yeah.
You know, or I'm not finna be at your church conference. I'm gonna be outside.
Yeah.
Like, so for me, it was, who am I without the Christian hip hop politics, without the media, without all the circuits of touring, all the festival circuits? Who is Aaron? And who was Aaron passionate for?
Let me ask you this. Do you feel like Aaron, who Aaron fully was and is, would be fully accepted in the church Christian music realm?
Yeah, I think so. So yes and no.
Okay.
Yes and no.
What part of Aaron do you feel was what part of you did you feel you were having to kind of conform to or hold back from in order to appease the audiences that were bringing you out?
My mouth and liberties.
My mouth and liberties.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
So like, I get paid to use my words.
Okay.
I get paid to know how to use my words well.
Yeah.
And so like, so my mouth can be a blessing.
Yeah.
Or it can cuss you out.
Okay.
And I ain't never had no problem with cussing folks out. Okay. That's just a real thing.
Okay.
But I mean, profanity in general. I'm just kidding. I don't cuss folks out. But but profanity was never an issue for me.
Yeah.
And so people just kick it with me for a little bit. They hear certain things I say, and they'll be like, "But ain't you a Christian?" I'm like, "Yeah, I love the Lord. You should hear my prayers." Like, I don't always pray out loud because my prayers between me and God go crazy. But that's just for me and him to understand.
Yeah.
But my liberty is like, I mean, like I was a type of Christian who was cool. Like I said, listening to secular music. I didn't have an issue with that.
Yeah.
I know some people really do.
Yeah.
I didn't.
Yeah.
Listening to rap music didn't make me want to go kill nobody.
Yeah.
It didn't make me want to do drugs or nothing like that, or sleep with nobody.
Yeah.
I didn't stumble in that way. For me, I was a student of hip hop. I was infatuated with the culture. I was in it, you know.
You know what's funny? I feel the same way about comedy. I listen to comedians. Now there's certain things I'm like, oh, that's cringe. But like, I honestly, sometimes I'll listen to more comedians than preachers because I think comedians are better communicators.
Of course they are. They know how to connect with the audience.
So like I'll watch Dave Chappelle, not just to be entertained, which I think he's the greatest, but just his the way he can set something up, leave it, take you on a different journey, and then come back to the thing he placed down.
Dog.
That's honestly like he inspires. Dave Chappelle is probably one of my biggest influencers.
He has people in the palm of his hands when he's on stage, bro, and he just knows how to.
And that's my problem with pastors is sometimes pastors are the worst communicators. So it's hard for me to sit. It was hard for me to sit through sermons because either it was I was like you don't have to spend 30 minutes or 40 minutes. So I know where this is about to go.
Yeah.
So that I resonate with that because it's like I think that as a craftsman, as an artist, you can be in certain environments and appreciate the art of something without saying, I agree with it, I align with it, or, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Like,
but that's hard for some people to separate the two.
So when people see me, I want them to understand I'm not the guy to go to if you want me to condemn something about you or for your parents. I'm not about to do it.
Okay.
Just because I feel like we have to get to a point where we know how to navigate through things as opposed to acting like it don't exist. Like, I'm not, like, for example, my nieces and nephews, like, they'll ask me certain questions. One of my nieces asked me about weed, marijuana. I'm not the uncle that's going to tell you not to do it. I'm not that guy. Like, I'm going to tell you, like, hey, let's get educated on what this is, because this actually could be a benefit if you know how to do this well. And I have to be careful saying that.
Yeah.
Because you never know who's listening.
Yeah, especially on the OverChurched Podcast.
Especially on the OverChurched Podcast. But like things like alcohol, even, you know, I'm not finna be the person that says, hey, don't do it ever. Because I'm like, no, how about we have a conversation about knowing what it is, how it resonates with your body, and how it can be beneficial.
Or detrimental.
You know what I'm saying? Like, but having the full conversation, growing up.
Having the conversation as opposed to don't, stay away.
And that's what it was.
As opposed to, because the first questions people are going to have is why. Yeah. That's what young people want to know.
And if they can't get a real why, they're going to do it anyway. So for me, I'm just kind of like, there's no point in me trying to sugarcoat what is real if you're going to look for it anyway.
I understand that.
So for me, that's why I'm like, I'm not finna throw away my CDs. I'm going to show you how these CDs or how hip hop can be influential or helpful in the culture. The reason I didn't throw away Eminem was because Eminem taught me how to feel. He taught me like I could be honest and real with my emotions. That people are not going to always like me in light of how I feel. People going to have an issue with what I may say. Not everybody is going to see me eye to eye with what I say. He allowed me to feel like I can feel and be angry, but I learned not to sin in my anger. You know what I'm saying? But he allowed me to see like I could be angry, you know?
But there's no worship song. Oh, I won't say there's no, but like growing up, like there's not like you can go to church and hear a worship song that is all about you processing the anger or the disappointment or the frustration of God not answering a prayer or someone, you know.
Because that happens.
But hip hop did that for you.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And there were spaces in Christian hip hop that I didn't get that from. There were things that hip hop gave me that Christian hip hop didn't give me.
That's fair.
So that was like, all right, because Christian hip hop would be very huge on we versus them type of mentality. We do this, y'all do that.
Not
we
of
Christians,
this world.
y'all not
Remember,
Christians. Not
of this world. The NOTW.
Yes.
I still see them on cars sometimes. I'll be like, man, you ain't washed that car in forever because they don't even exist.
I still see
more.
the tags.
The tags.
But I would get a lot of we versus them coming out of the Christian hip hop culture. I mean,
so how are we gonna reach them if they're the enemy?
Exactly. It's hard having a conversation with somebody if you're always condemning them. If you're always talking about them, about what they don't do or how wrong they are, they don't want to be around you, dog. You know. So for me, I'm like, how can we utilize what is already here to teach God's message? You know what I'm saying? As opposed to trying to create a new diagram of Jesus connecting with God's people. How about we utilize what we already have to show that we can connect with God using what's already here, because that's what Jesus did. That's what all his parables did. You know, where he was like I'm gonna speak about sheep because y'all shepherds. You know, I'm gonna talk about whatever because I'm gonna talk about
parties, right? Like so many of his parables are about somebody threw a feast. There was somebody threw a wedding banquet.
Because that's what was happening. He was with the people.
Which tells me Jesus, like going back to filling in, connecting dots, like that was my issue with churches. Why is it so boring when Jesus talks about?
Jesus was lit.
He was first miracle, wedding banquet.
Yeah, and he had access to the best alcohol.
Bro, I don't understand. I don't understand Christian weddings that don't have dances and music. I'm like, that is the most depressed. Just go get married at a courthouse.
Look.
I'm not coming to your wedding if the party, if it's not an actual wedding party.
This how you know Jesus was black or brown. Cause he had fish fries and alcohol. You know what I'm saying? Like he had fish fries, cornbread, and alcohol. Like that's how you know he was a brother. You know what I'm saying? Like he ain't had no charcuterie board. No. Like Jesus was like, nah, bro, I'm pulling up with the fish fry. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, he had the lemon pepper. Like he did all that. Yeah.
Jesus would have been at Wingstop.
Hey, look, he hit him with
Olive Garden.
He hit him with that. Look, I know y'all don't know this yet, but to y'all it's a miracle. But this gonna come down in 2022. I got you. Like he knew what he was doing. But I was just never that guy to cut off the world. Yeah. The Lord utilized the world to communicate his message. Otherwise, we wouldn't be here. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? The world wouldn't be here. Yeah. So for me, I was just like, you got to be able to, and that was, again, with the whole liberties thing, like I had to learn that people in the Christian space are just not always for your liberties because they're all coming from different places. Yeah. But understandably, like you got some folks who are ex-drug addicts. Yeah. Some folks who, who get triggered by alcohol. You know what I'm saying? Their parents might have been alcoholics or whatever, so they don't want it in their family. Yeah. I get that, but I really believe when God talks about like everything that he made was good. Yeah. So why are we condemning it? And
I understand that. And we've talked about this, like the similarities we have, like with your journey with Christian hip hop, my journey with the church and pastoring. It is a tension, man, because I fully believe, Paul, he'll say, I don't want to be a stumbling block. Don't do anything that could cause my brother to stumble. So if my brother, if he's like, I don't do that, then I don't do it around him either, because I don't want to be a stumbling block. But then he also says, I will try to do all things to glorify. I become all things for all men, so that by doing so, some might be saved, right? So there's this tension, and I have a redemptive theology. So like we've had this even within Legacy, is like, why do you guys bring Santa Claus to church and there's no manger, but you have Santa Claus, and that's paganistic? And I'm like, well, you already know what Christmas is about, so this isn't for you, right? For you is when you come inside, you worship and preach like that. That's for you. The lobby is for the people who are bringing people, which you're probably also not doing that either. Because the fact that you don't, it's like Santa is so we can get families in the community to know, hey, there's a free, you don't have to go to the mall to take your family picture with Santa. You can come to the YMCA and hope you stay and hear the message about what Christmas is all about. Same thing with Easter. We drop all those Easter eggs. We have an Easter bunny. Why do you have an Easter bunny? That's pagan. I have a redemptive theology. And I really believe like, hey, you come for the bunny and then leave with the message of the cross. I think that's a valid trade.
And you can't dictate how God speaks to people. Yeah.
Or what he'll use.
Right. And you can't always assume something will automatically be a stumbling block for somebody to get it.
That's also true.
Because the Holy Spirit
we can project our own insecurities.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
I like the quote. I want to be the jackass Jesus uses, because that's what he did, right? He used the jackass because a prophet couldn't see it. Yep. So I'm like, I'd rather be the jackass than the prophet. I'd rather be the jackass that can see what God is doing and like, hey, let's not go this way, or let's go this way, versus the prophet that's like,
and the jackass gonna get his wages. He said pay the donkey his wages.
He did.
He gonna get paid for it. No, hey, get your money, man. Hey, but not in a real sense though. You're right. Like, God can use anybody. Yeah. And there's nothing in this world that is a threat to God. Yeah. Even the enemy, even Satan is not a threat to God. Yeah. God is just aware. It's like, man, I got something for you. Yeah. But like, he's not afraid of the enemy, and neither should we be. Yeah. We should be conscious, aware. Wisdom. Yeah. Like I'm not finna sit here and be like, all right, y'all, let's just blow bowls of smoke or whatever, and then it's just
we won't be selling weed at Legacy.
Like, no, we won't. No, hopefully not. But then again,
Easter is on 420 next year.
You might end up having a member that owns a dispensary though.
And if he wants to sponsor Easter helicopter drop on 420. In Jesus' name.
Because at the rate the church is growing, you don't know who will show up.
I don't know who will show up.
It's very factual. No, but I mean, but again, like for me, my mentality has always been be mature enough to understand what is out here in the world. The Bible says be gentle as doves, but wise as serpents.
Yeah.
That don't mean you got to be a snake.
That's
It's
true.
just telling you to be wise like them, so that when they come around, when you know that they're around, you know how to navigate so you don't get bit. So for me, I'm like, the reason you see these folks getting bit all the time in their spiritual walks is because they don't know how to navigate around what's already there. Yeah. They just there with their heads up like, but it's like you don't know how to read your Bible. You don't really know the difference between your faith and another faith. You still thinking that all faiths like lead to the same God. Like there are things that we just don't have these conversations and we just go through life. And so for me, I'm like, no, like, know the world you live in. Know the people you're amongst. You know, Paul was in the market for a reason. He's like, look, I'm here so I can be all things to all men, which means you have to be able to study these things that are all to men.
It means I can't be afraid of what I don't understand. I have to be able to sit in places, have conversations, have dialogue, have relationship with people who don't agree with me, who aren't from me, aren't from my background, my zip code. And then we can find a way to navigate so that how I can win some.
That doesn't mean you don't take precaution.
Absolutely.
That doesn't mean you
won't see me in the strip club trying to witness.
Right. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? You still have certain boundaries because you know, like, okay, the enemy knows. Yes. First of all, the enemy knows you specifically. He knows what you struggle with, what you wrestle with. So he'll use that. That's why the Bible was like, look, don't blame it on the enemy for you being tempted. It was already in you. He just using what you already get tempted by. Like he knows you. So be careful.
Yeah. Okay. So we're gonna have to just do a part 2 one day, but I want to segue to 2 things before we wrap up. Number 1, you're on this trajectory, but talk to me about, so you get in the car accident, you're like, I need to take this more serious. God saved my life again. I do want to be intentional, but then you're also in that thing of like, I want to be Aaron, not just Canon. What was the journey? When we talked over a year ago, you were like, bro, I was really over church. Like, if I'm remembering it correctly, you were honestly at a space where you were really struggling, even with, do I still want to be like in the Christian labeled rapper? Not that you're, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I never liked the title, honestly. Okay. Like my entire career, I've never liked the title Christian rapper. Okay. Just because it never did me no favors. Like it didn't. Like, if my goal is to minister to the world, if you call me a Christian rapper, you're just gonna put me around all the Christians. And when I go to festivals, you're gonna put me next to Kirk Franklin at best. That's gonna be the pinnacle of where I go. I'm not being missional. You know what I'm saying? I want to really be a light in the darkness, but there's no point in having a candle lit during the day. Yeah. Like, I'm around all this light. I need to be a light in darkness. So why am I around here? Why am I here? Wow. Why am I here preaching to the choir? For what? Y'all already know the gospel. Y'all should be going out preaching the gospel. Wow. So why am I here? It's pointless. You know what I'm saying? So for me, I'm just like, y'all not really about that life. Wow. For real. Y'all want to say y'all about that life, make you feel good, to make Jesus your punchline every time. But for me, I'm like, no, I'm really about this life. Okay. So for me, I was just kind of like I started seeing stuff that didn't even matter anymore to me, because it started feeling like a game all over again. When I was like, nah, this need to be real. Like the politics of it started feeling like a game after a while. Okay. So like for me, like when I started touring, I started seeing stuff that I feel like I shouldn't have seen. Okay. That I can't unsee. Okay. And I'm just like, all right, well, the average person goes to the same church every Sunday, right? I was going to a different church every weekend. Okay. So I got a chance to see not only my church, but churches across the country, across the world, and see how they worship God. But the thing is, when you or you're a pastor or your worship leader, you get to be behind stage. Yeah. You see more than what everybody else see. Okay. You see the church politics. You see a lot of stuff. You even see the green rooms. You know, there was times I saw stuff on tours. You know, I ain't gonna make mention on here, but just things that you see that are like, all right, now I know that ain't sugar, and I know that ain't flour on the table. Wow. And I know them ain't allergy pills. Wow. Like I know what that is. I know what that is. You know, but this person is glorified on stage. Wow. You know. Yeah. And so I'm seeing this. I'm like, dang, this a game for you. Wow. But it turned from this a game for you to this a game to y'all. So it became like a longer list of situations that I started seeing.
It wasn't no just isolated incidences. It was like, this is becoming way too normal.
Yeah, I'm like, dang. So I'm finally at the pinnacle of my career. I guess I think I am. Because I'm doing stadium shows and stuff like that. And I'm like,
you're on the Neverland 2 Paganini. Come on.
Bro. And
by the way, y'all went crazy on that song. That's an underrated song on the album.
Y'all shout out to Andy. That was all Andy idea.
Y'all snapped on that.
Man, but appreciate it.
I had to Google who Paganini was at that.
I had to Google when he sent me the song. I was like, I thought I saw it wrong. I thought it was a pasta. I didn't know what it was. But
so you're seeing these things and it's messing with your spirit.
Yeah, but what was killing me though was so on one end I'm seeing people trapped in this space where they just want to be artists and good people, but they have to live up to this Christian expectation and like in the public eye. Don't let you do one small thing, you are crucified. Yeah. So that's a bar anyway, but but you do get crucified. You know, like there's a magnifying glass on every little thing you do, and people want like direct access to you and your relationship with God. Wow. And they feel entitled to that. They'll never have a coffee with you, tea with you, sit down, conversation with you, but swear up and down they know your relationship between you and God. Wow. And for me, I was like, I don't really appreciate that, especially when you have people out here living double lives. Wow. For real. Yeah. But for me, I got tired of seeing the inconsistencies and the disappointments of just a lot of hypocritical things that I saw on stage or off stage within churches. You know, and even just knowing how some brothers was getting down behind the scenes, I'm just like, dang, what was going on? Like, for real? Yeah. Dang, so who's this real for? Like, for real? Like, is this just like a job for you? Is this just another gig? Yeah. Or is this for real with like your life? Like, there's plenty of times like I done cried on stage because I'm like, it really means a lot to me. Kids done coming up to me talking about, man, you changed my life. Yeah. It was a kid that came to a concert that was like, I'm gonna be honest, I'm not here for the concert. I just wanted to talk to you. You're my favorite rapper, but I want to tell you how you changed my life. And I'm like, you don't want to stay for the concert? He's like, no, I just needed to tell you that. Wow. And he was like, I already got what I needed. Wow. I just wanted to tell you that. I was like, this stuff is real. Yeah. So when I saw that, I was just like, dang, like some folks got the opportunity to do stuff like this. Yeah. But like it just go out the window for them. It's just another gig. But then you got these folks who are stuck where they feel like they have to live up to this expectation. Yeah. And if they let the world see like a smidge of their life, they lose everything. Yeah. And some people have, some people have lost everything because of it. Well, I won't say everything, according to this world and success, you lost it. But I just get let down. And I think I was also disappointed with just like during the pandemic, 2020, you see a lot of black and brown issues, a lot of just George Floyd type situations, Breonna Taylor situations. And I'm using my platform to speak on it. As I'm speaking on it, like I'm seeing the reception that I got from it was a lot of backfire. Yeah. I'm just like, it could have been me. That could literally would have been my brother, honestly. Yeah. Wrong place at the wrong time. Yeah. But I'm sitting there like, why did he have to die though? Yeah. And, well, he was a drug dealer. Yeah. Well, it was like, that don't mean he should have been shot, take that joker to jail or something, but give him a trial, but why you got to kill him? When that stuff started happening and brewing, I started realizing like, oh wait, I know why I'm getting the responses that I'm getting. Like a lot of these responses that I was getting about these black and brown issues was coming from white evangelical churches. Folks that were not necessarily connected to the black community. And when I thought about it I was like, wait, a lot of the Christian hip hop fan base is white evangelical churches. So I'm out here doing these shows, jumping up and down, like telling my story.
Spook. Just come sing and dance. Just come rap and dance. We don't really need none of your...
I'm just another nigga to y'all. Like that's what tough. It felt like. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, it would have been me, and y'all would have been like,
he shouldn't have been there. He shouldn't have.
Why didn't he pull over?
Yeah.
Why did he pull out his phone? Like yeah. Why didn't he just
that's tough.
Comply? Yeah. And it's like I was taught to comply when I was 5 because we knew what was gonna happen. You know what I'm saying? So when I saw the kickback, for me, it was like a slap in the face. I'm like, hold on, man. Like, this person could have been me, any of my family. But y'all think that this was necessary to happen?
Yeah.
And when I speak up on it, you think I'm being divisive?
Wow.
Folks were saying that I was during that time, they were saying like, I'm I forgot the word for it, but just somebody who speaks on the behalf of just what's going on in the streets.
Yeah.
And they were just like, they were just kind of like, they were saying like, I'm starting to be an activist.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, I'm doing what I feel like Jesus would have done. Like, he's angry that there's blood on the street. There's blood on the ground. Like, and it's my brother's blood, you know, that hurt.
Do you, because I understand that tension. I've worked in a lot of white evangelical churches. And I think the hard thing for people to understand is that it's not even demonizing an entire movement or group of people, because some of your closest friends, some of your best relationships come out of those, you know, white evangelical churches, right? Like, even the opportunity to like you said, to see like, wow, this can be done with excellence. Like they can, like the appreciation, the reception, everything. There's so much beauty in being connected to another group of people that don't look like you, aren't from your background. But I think the tension that a lot of minorities feel who are on platforms in those spaces is, I need to know that the same way you'll love me when I'm doing what you appreciate, is that you'll love me when you don't agree with me anymore. You know, because it's so I think it was a wrestle. It's a wrestle, right? Yeah. Because every follower, not every follower of Jesus, some of us are wilding, but I believe at the core, we're all looking at it through the lens of WWJD. Like, what would Jesus do? And there are people who love Jesus who really believe, well, Jesus would not put himself in that position because he wouldn't have done XYZ, right? And then there's other people that are like, no, Jesus would mourn for those who mourn. You know what I mean? And it's like, well, you should, live by the sword, die by the sword. Like, Jesus said that, but he still gave Peter so many chances. Right. You know what I mean? He still has so much grace he would call him Satan, but then at the same time be like, go get Peter, go get Peter. Yeah. And so I think that tension is it's hard. It's hard for a minority when they're feeling that, you know, a George Floyd situation, whatever the situation is to know, am I safe enough to vent, to process, this is how I'm feeling without being rejected, ostracized, or being told, this is what you should have done, or this, well, you know what I'm saying? Some people, we just need people to, well, they just sit with us. Yeah. And that's a scary thing. It's an isolating feeling when you don't feel like you have white brothers and sisters who can just sit with you. Yeah. Not even saying you have all the answers, but just, does that grieve you the way it grieves me? Yeah. Do you see that as that could be me?
Yeah. I feel like we just had to keep having a conversation of like, man, we are made in God's image. We're all made in God's image. We're all image bearers of God. Do you see me as that? Yeah. As a whole man? Yeah. You know, you see me that. Yeah. And it just, I think for me to have to feel like that I had to have that combo, after so many years, I'm just like, dang, we still here. You know, when you do some of these festivals, you kind of started feeling like that's how they seen you as. Wow. Like they don't see you as a whole man or whole person. Like, you start kind of feel like they don't see you in the same eye that you may see yourself, or that guy may see you, because you do some of these festivals. And
no, you do some of these festivals. Well, I'm not doing festivals.
Sorry, I would do some of these festivals, and there would be times we'd be like, all right, so what we getting paid? Don't get paid nothing. We got to pay our way to get out there. Wow. And then on top of that, knowing other people are actually getting paid. Wow. But then on top of that, you get hit with a merch fee. And I'm like, dang, the little bread I get, you want that too. Yeah. You know, but I know that's not the case for these other stages. The politics. Right. You deal with the politics, but then you're dealing with Christian hip hop. Christian hip hop is a black and brown culture. For real.
Except for Andy and NF.
So, yeah. Anyway, but the thing is, it's just like, when you see the stage, who's all performing on the Christian hip hop stage? Yeah, no. You see all these black faces. Yeah. On the other stage, you see all these white faces.
Like the CCM type.
You see all the CCM, worship, Toby Mac crowd, like all that. And I know, because I was there. I was there looking at Skillet's crowd. Yeah. And I looked at our crowd. Yeah. Like, it was different, you know. But like, I would see these things and I'm like, dang, how come when it come to our situation, it always look like it's kind of like somewhat there, but it ain't always there. But then their situation is always crazy.
You're talking about like the support and
the support, the marketing, the production, the whole nine, the money effort behind it. I'm just like, it just seemed like we get the crumbs.
Okay. I
remember going to KAA, Kids Across America. I talk about it like KAA got two camps, Kanakuk and KAA. KAA growing up, and I can say this, I went there like 9 years. Like I'm a veteran, I can say this, but like I went there, KAA was lit. When I went there, I was like, that was crazy. That's like, it's a camp in the middle of nowhere, Branson, Missouri. It's hot, but they got like we doing chants on chants on chants, game competitions, whatever. Like, and it's all kids from the hood. I'm like, finally, like this a joint where we all can really like just be ourselves for real. But then you hear about Kanakuk. And then Kanakuk was literally like the sister of KAA.
Yeah.
Kanakuk was all mostly white campers, and they stuff was all decked out. It almost looked like a resort.
Oh, wow.
So all my life, because I remember I went there as a kid, like growing up, like all my life I had saw like the imbalance between black communities when it comes to the faith and white communities when it comes to the faith.
Oh, wow.
My mama dealt with it too. She used to work for radio stations at Moody Bible Institute. Dealt the same thing. When she wanted to play Kirk Franklin and Fred Hammond, they gave her a hard time.
Wow.
So she was like, I'm out.
Wow.
Like, because y'all won't let me just represent black people here.
Wow.
So she got tired of doing that. So I remember when she was having conversations with me, when I got discouraged, she was like, I've been there before. You just got to know who you are, you know? So I had to be able to be okay with realizing that people aren't perfect.
Yeah.
The world ain't perfect. The church ain't perfect, because there's going to be a million reasons why you want to walk away from it.
Yeah.
Especially from where I was standing, where I was sitting. There was a lot of reasons why I was just like, I don't want to be around here no more.
Yeah.
I don't want to, this is a game for a lot of y'all.
Yeah.
I guess there's a ceiling for me because I'm a rapper, a black rapper. And that was during my era.
Yeah.
Things have changed now, you know, but I didn't want to feel like I was either always going to hit a ceiling or be in a shadow of other places or other people.
Yeah.
And so for me, I was just like, I think I'm burnt out.
Wow.
I think I'm burnt out, mainly because I had been in church my whole life.
Yeah.
I felt like it's kind of felt like basketball, where it's like you play basketball all your life, but then like if you're in sports long enough, you hurt yourself after a while. It's like getting a broken leg.
Yeah.
You keep trying to play the game, but you don't get no healing.
Yeah.
You try to play the game on a broken leg and you're not really helping nobody for real or yourself.
Wow.
You might help pass the ball, but you're not really being as effective as you want to be because you hurt.
Wow.
And you get so far on, you forget that you hurt.
Wow.
And then things get worse. You just know you got a toxic body. And after a while, you just become toxic because you hurt. And so I think that's why I ended it. I was just like, I just became toxic for myself, like towards just anything around me, because I was burnt out. Like the one thing that I held on to felt like my bottom fell out.
Wow.
It was like, dang, if this is Christianity, I don't know if I want it.
So what brought this last question? What brought you back? Because that's not who I see today. So what led you back?
I would definitely say that what brought me back was me realizing when people aren't perfect. We're not perfect, so we're all a work in progress. You know, but then two, like I saw who I wasn't for such a long time. I forgot who I was, and I had to get back to who I was. Like I had dealt with like drugs, I had dealt with alcohol, like depression, suicide, the whole nine during that time. Because I didn't want to be here no more.
Wow.
I was like, look, if this is what faith feel like, if this is what being a Christian in the West feels like, I don't want to be here.
Wow.
Like after going through Israel and Haiti and going through trips to see God's people in a different light and then come back home and still feel this way, I'm like, nah, I don't want to be here no more.
Wow.
So, and I feel like I had a good excuse. I'm like, I've been through Baptist churches, Pentecostal churches, non-denominational churches, which is a denomination, Kojic churches, you know, you name it. I've been through all of them. And I saw so many letdowns and disappointments. And I was just like, dang, but this doesn't have to be me. And their actions don't necessarily have to affect who I am as a person.
Yeah.
And so I think one, going to legacy, I'll say that Cause I was about done. I was like, I don't need to go to no more churches. I'm cool. I've been around so many church folks. I had enough church folks to save my life. I'm straight. I don't need to be around no more quote unquote godly people, God's people. I'm good. I don't want it. I don't want it. Like a sour taste in my mouth. But I got to Legacy and it felt different. It was one, just knowing that you guys were speaking about the OverChurched. Mm-hmm. And I didn't even have a term for that yet. Yeah. Like I didn't even know how to put that into words yet. But I knew I was burnt out. Mm-hmm. And I knew I was like, man, like for me to be involved as an artist with this tension, as a Christian man, as a Black man with a platform, like there's a lot to wrestle here. And I've been wrestling with it for a long time. Yeah. I think I realized how bad it was when we went to man camp. When I went to man camp, it was like, shoot, like I realized I had a reserved hate for the church. Wow. Like when Paul was asked, like, why are you persecuting my church? I was about to turn to Paul. Wow. Like old school. Like I was gonna be like, man, look, get the church. I'm out here. I'm out, bro. Wow. Like God, we good. Yeah. But God's people, y'all can keep them. I'm straight. Like you might be a great person. You might be a great godly person, but I don't want to be your friend. Like I don't want to be around you, because I was really done. I was over it. And when I felt like I was over it, not necessarily in my faith, but the culture, or just the politics of it. When I felt like I was done with that, I was like, I'm done with my music thing, because my music is all revolved around this world. Yeah. My music is revolved around these people, and I don't feel like I love these people anymore. I don't feel like I have a heart for these people anymore, because it don't feel real. It feels like a game. And I'm tired of playing the game. So I think I needed to finally be in a place where that was heard and felt. And Legacy was at, like I went to Legacy, and it was like, especially as you guys talked about y'all past experiences, I was like, dang, like, okay, so this ain't a game for him. It don't seem like it. Like we close in similar age. Yeah. And I'm like, at this point in your age, you tired of playing games. You just like, look, this is it or not. Like I ain't got time. Like I got stuff to do. Yeah. And so I'm just like, no, it ain't a game with him. He's not just up there trying to say the right thing. He's really trying to be godly. And I think seeing you at man camp and just like, you just play the background. Like, I don't think most people knew, but you really just played the background a lot of times at man camp. And seeing that made me be like, yeah, it's real for him. It's real. He not trying to be like, oh, Legacy Church here, big banner Legacy Church. Like, he not trying to get his church off the ground, nothing like that. Like, you was up early, and I ain't seen nobody else around, and you was getting it yourself, especially like when it's time for prayer, you still did it. Like, I would have been like, nah, it's too early, man. We got man camp. We already fasted. You ain't had no excuses. You was like, nah, we here. When I saw that, I was like, all right, it's still real for somebody. There's a ram in the bush. So I think when I came to Legacy and saw other people feel burnt out as well, but they're still wrestling through it, they don't have an answer, they're still figuring it out, I was like, that's where I'm at. And that was enough for me, wow. So, and then I think that's when I started deciding, like, all right, I'm gonna serve, like, because I'm like, God still calls me to serve. Yeah. Like, you can be upset, but God still calls you to serve. Yeah. You can still be frustrated, but God calls you to walk through those emotions. Yeah. And I knew me staying in an angry space wasn't the totality of who I was. Yeah. So people weren't being blessed by who I could be. Yeah. Because I'm holding on to being frustrated and angry and disappointed with the church. So I'm like, dang, now people are missing out on blessings that I could be towards them because I'm holding on to things that are weighing me down. Yeah. I had to learn to let go. Yeah. So I think being around brothers who were working through the same things, and I think all of that helped. Yeah. And even just I would say even my niece, like my niece staying with me, like she just came to know the Lord. Yeah. And I'm like, man, I know what it looks like to walk with the Lord. I mean, I'm gonna be frustrated with him right now about a lot of things, not just career, but also like personal life, family life. I was like, a lot of things I was frustrated with God with. Yeah. But I'm like, she just came to know the Lord. I don't want my anger with God or towards his people to taint her relationship with God. Yeah. And I don't want my apprehensions about joining churches and being around people of faith to taint her first experience with real people that really love God.
Yeah.
And so I was just like, man, I gotta heal so that she can be healthy even.
Wow.
So, so that's when we was just like, you know what? All right, we ain't joined yet, but we gonna join. And then we end up joining.
Yeah.
So I was just like, I gotta lead by example.
Bro, that's awesome. I just want to say it's been awesome to see your journey. It's been awesome to be able to have authentic, real conversations, about frustrations, concerns, like hesitation. It's been awesome to just walk with you through this past a little over a year, I think it is now.
Yeah.
And seeing that. And I think you're still going through the process, right? Like healing is a process. So if it was years of
sanctification is the process.
So there's no rush on it, but I do everything you said. It's cool to see you living that out. Like I see how much you love your niece. I see how, what's the kid in the neighborhood who you told me about? Raheem. Just like, but now hearing, I didn't know about BJ. So for me, I'm connecting it as, well, the way BJ was for you, I see you trying to be that for Raheem, the kid in your neighborhood without a father who you're just like, I need to be there for him. And then it is awesome to see you every Sunday. There'll be some Sundays, I swear, I don't know. You just be running in, pulling up. I'm like, I just finished preaching. I'm like, were you here? And I don't, but it's like, you're so committed to, hey, even if I miss the, whether I had to pick up my wife from the airport or I had to come back from a trip, I want to make sure I do my part to build God's house or to take down God's house for other. Like, it's so awesome to see your commitment in serving other people, because I do want to say people do feel loved by you. They do see your heart to serve people. They do see your heart. Like, it's funny, you're at a church where there's people in there that probably grew up listening to your music or influenced by music that you helped create, you know what I mean? And don't even know that, like, they don't know you as Canon. They know you as a guy who dresses cool, but is always just carrying stuff. You know what I'm saying?
And that's crazy, because I never cared about who knew my name.
Yeah.
My mama always got on me about that, because I remember when I used to perform, she would be like, you got to start selling CDs. You're always giving out your stuff for free, because we'll be burning CDs and all that. I stay up till 4, 5 o'clock in the morning burning CDs, way back in the day, because we were talking about CDs. But I never cared about people just knowing my name like that, or being famous or getting rich or nothing like that. So that's why I come to the church and I won't really talk about my music. I won't really speak about it. Like, I'm like, oh, if y'all know about it, cool. Yeah. But I'm just like, I ain't never been that kind of person to be like, oh, look at me. Look at, I've done this and I've done that. The last year was probably the first year that I started sharing with the world, like, my success or like the things that I've gotten over time, Billboard records and like how many streams I get, type of stuff, just because I never do it. And people was like, well, we can't celebrate with you if we don't know what's going on. Facts, we can't be praying on your behalf if we don't even know what you're shooting for. So I had to start understanding, like, man, like the church isn't perfect, but that doesn't mean they don't love you. That doesn't mean that they are against you. And that doesn't mean that, you can't be yourself. You can be, but being yourself will always be a wrestle for anybody. And you just have to learn how to navigate who you are. And to do that, you got to know who God is. So I had to learn a lot on the way, and I ain't there yet, but it's a process. Yeah.
Well, I'm grateful, bro, that we get to be on this journey and this process together. I'm proud of you. I'm proud of just to see you, who you are as a husband, as a friend, as a follower of Jesus. It's really inspiring, and I'm excited for you, and I'm grateful. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Well, where can people where can people listen to your music and stay up to date with what you're creating and what you're doing?
Google me. No, let me stop. Well, I would say Spotify, Pandora, Apple Music, YouTube, you name it, Google Play.
What's your Instagram?
At Get the Canon. Follow me at Get the Canon, GETTHECANON.
Get the Canon. It's worth it. It's worth it. The authenticity, the skill level of excellence is worth it. It's worth it.
Appreciate that, man.
Appreciate you. Love you, dog. Well, till next time. Thank you for being with us. Go out, love, live, and lead like Jesus.